So yeah, you and I were chatting the other week about the challenge when you're a young dad. I don't remember being a young dad because it's been a while.
Were you? You were a young dad.
I I
How old were
was.
you when you had your first?
Well, I should remember those dates. Sam was born in 2020. What? No, 1998.
I'm certain he wasn't born
8,
in
1990,
2020.
1998. I was married in 95.
Sam was born in 98.
Yeah.
Wow, he seems older.
I probably got all the facts wrong. The point is, it was a while ago.
No, 98.
He's,
What does that make him? 24.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. That's about right.
24. That sounds
Yeah.
right.
So it's been a while since I've had a young one, right? But
Yeah.
you and I were talking about the challenge of putting a relationship first with your wife
Mm-hmm.
whilst you got young kids.
Yeah.
And so tell us, you've got 2 kids.
Two,
Yeah.
one on the way.
One, so that's public?
That is public.
Wow.
It is now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, due in January.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, somewhat early days, 13 weeks in.
It is early days,
Mm.
but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks, man. We're
Yeah.
excited. I think this is the most excited we've ever been for a kid.
Right. It's your favorite child already, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm just assuming it's a boy. I shouldn't say this because this will live on,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah. This
one
could
of my
get-
kids might stumble across this
Yeah,
one day, so I
that's right.
probably
Yeah.
I love them all equally.
But you could ban your children from the internet. or
Specifically
pod-
this podcast.
This podcast.
You're not allowed to listen to
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
Yeah,
But yes, potentially your favorite. No, we don't have favorites. Though,
We
right?
don't.
No,
we
we
do.
don't.
Yeah, that's right.
But how could either of your 2 daughters not be like your favorites?
That is so true. Man, you love them equally for different reasons, I suppose.
yeah.
Which is something I'm discovering, right? Shiloh's she turned 1 in February. So she's actually got a personality now. You know, that first year you're kind of
Yeah.
like, they show
Mhm.
some forms of it, but
Yeah.
man, she's got a personality now.
Wow.
And so you love them equally for different reasons, which
Yeah.
is a journey in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's how old?
So she turned 1 in Feb, so
Yeah.
she'd be, I'd say 1.5 is
Yes.
what I'd say to most people.
Yeah.
I don't really count the months.
No.
I know you're supposed to, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then Ava turned 3 in May.
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
So young kids.
So young kids.
Yeah. So it's busy. Yeah.
It's very busy.
Mm,
We've only just started calling them both toddlers. So we
right.
2 toddlers. Yeah.
You had other names for them before?
We had a toddler and a baby.
Ah, yeah.
But she's not a baby anymore.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
And so you're married? I mean, I'm asking because you might not be.
I am.
I know
married.
you are, but for the
Yeah.
for the people,
For the people.
the people,
For the fans out there.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm married, going on 4 years. Well, we just 4 years in May.
Wow.
So
Well, interesting
Mm.
fact about your wife,
okay.
just for the listeners, because I guess I've known her since she was a baby.
You've known her much longer than I've known
Yeah,
her.
I have.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I think yeah, I was mates with her father since before she was born. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's perfect, right? So if there's any relationship issues, we know
It's my fault.
It's all you. right?
100%. Well, it's me or the kids. Well, actually,
Wow.
they're perfect too, aren't they?
Oh,
So
that's just
it's
you.
my fault.
Oh
Also
well,
bad.
we might as well get to the truth of the matter, right?
Yeah, that's helpful. It's
Yeah.
my fault.
Oh mate. So what do you reckon then? Young dad, current environment, world environment. I guess it doesn't matter. I don't know. Maybe it
Yeah.
does. Like,
Yeah.
what are the biggest challenges for you? Do you think some of the challenges for you to help put the relationship first?
The relationship first. Well, interesting that you said this environment. I've developed a theory, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You'd know better than I would. Maybe
Right.
watching men like me
Yeah.
struggle through
Yep.
relationship
Yeah,
and
okay.
fatherhood now.
Yeah.
I think that kids per kid cost more today, not just financially.
Especially girls.
Yeah. Yeah. I think probably financially
Okay. Yep.
with
Okay. Yeah.
just, I don't know, all the things available from
Right.
internet shopping
Okay.
to all the way across the spectrum.
Right.
But then I think emotionally they cost more.
In what way? What are you saying?
Because of the current climate and temperature, being the father that I am, wanting to give them more of me than they get of the world,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
I think that's harder now. Whereas, hear me out, I could totally be wrong. I think for you, battling the world when you were a young father, the world's voice wasn't in your home as much as it is in my home now.
Hmm. So there's a couple of really interesting points here. Talk about giving them more of you than they get of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I want to dig into that, but let's just come back to that in a second. What do you mean by that the world's more in your home than it might have been in mine? Just
Yeah.
help me to understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, I think it's just more invasive with
Like
Instagram.
social media or what?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, you could just.
So your
lump
kids
it
are
all.
on Insta already?
Oh yeah, man, they've got at
Oh,
least 2
really?
or 3 profiles. I mean, they're all over Britney's
Oh, got it.
Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
But at no point when I was a kid did I steal my mom's phone
No,
and
yes.
hide in another room taking photos
Right.
or just exploring
Yeah.
what a phone had to offer, right?
Yeah.
One time, Ava actually got onto the Google Play Store
Yeah.
and bought like a $58 game.
Wicked.
And I had to write to them and I was like, hey, can you please refund that? Because we don't have that to pay, but also I didn't want it. My daughter bought it. So
True story. I think it was Sam
Mhm.
bought a car on Trade Me.
no way.
Mm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Ava made a bid on a car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we actually bought one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good on you.
So it wasn't Instagram.
Is it the car you have now?
Yeah, we said we had to give it. No.
You're like, he was 22, but fun fact, he bought a car. Trade Me.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think that social media, it's so weaving out. You know, it's easy for your wife to be more connected,
Oh yeah.
and the phones are present in the middle of all the parenting. The phone's kind of the thing,
Yeah,
and
they're
they're drawn to the screens.
man, they're constant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the world is more in my home
yeah.
today, I think, than it was.
Yeah.
Well, I know that it was when
Yeah,
I was a
yeah,
kid.
yeah,
We had
totally.
one computer in the house,
yeah.
and it was dial-up
Yeah,
internet,
exactly.
and
yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
what was the point of? I didn't need to go on there. There was nothing on there
Yeah.
for me, so I was outside on the trampoline or
Like 2 or 3 TV channels or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Or-
right.
Yeah,
Saturday morning cartoons. Was
Yeah,
probably the
that was
most
it. Mm.
screen time I had.
Yeah, whereas now like Netflix, Disney, Amazon Prime, they're all
Oh, yeah.
whatever, the Neon, whatever, you can
Mhm.
have sort of 5 subscriptions going on.
Yeah.
So what is it then? So you talk a little bit there about making something. You said something about having the more of you than of the world in their lives.
Yeah.
What's your thinking there?
Yeah, well, being the father that I am, I recognize that everyone has their own story, but a big thing that I try to focus on is that my wife and kids have
Yeah.
more of me
Yeah,
available to them than they have of the world, right? So
Mhm.
I don't want Ava learning about, we could go in all sorts of directions,
yeah.
but I don't want her learning from the world
yeah,
what I should be instilling in her, what I
Yeah.
should be teaching in her
Yeah.
confidence, her self-worth, her,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could go down the
Yeah,
list
yeah.
of like
Stuff.
lady things that
Yeah.
she will
Yeah, yeah.
come across.
Yeah.
I don't want her learning that
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
a YouTube sensation or an Instagram model or even ads, right? Ads.
Yeah, all this podcast.
Oh yeah, or this podcast. That's why she's not allowed to
Yeah,
listen.
that's right.
She's banned from it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And so she's not at school yet,
No.
but eventually she will be at a school.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And I think that's must be a massive challenge for young dads, is when their kids are going to school and getting soaked into the culture and the importance of that sort of decoding and the role that dads and mums have in sort of decoding the child.
Yeah.
Decoding sounds too, whatever, I don't know, clunky. But just, re-explaining how the world actually, or it's not
That's
necessarily
right.
like that.
That's
It
right.
can look like this.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like in our home.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about, homeschooling, Christian school,
Yeah.
public school, and
Yeah.
something about Christian school. It's not that I'm opposed to it, but one of the thoughts that I have is this decoding thing, right?
Yeah.
Ava could be going to a Christian school and she could come home and say, hey, the teacher said this, or my classmate said this.
Mm.
And then we're in a position where we're like, well, we don't believe that.
Yeah.
And even though your friends are Christian,
Yeah.
I feel like that's a tough road to walk. So
Mm.
we haven't decided entirely yet.
Yeah. How are you going to handle that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking about culture, family culture,
Mm-hmm.
which is a really interesting topic for me. Basically, a lot of what I talk about is sort of culture-related stuff,
Yeah.
Do you have a sense? Often culture is just who we are. It's just who Steve is.
Sure.
Right? When you walk in the room, your culture walks in the room with you.
Mm.
But is there anything more intentional in Steve around the type of culture you're trying to create at home?
Oh, as opposed to,
Well, there may not be a good answer to that, but or clear answer, but the sense of, well, if the world's saying this, is there some specific big ones where you go, no, I want my family culture to feel like this or to be this?
Yeah.
Can you think of some
Yeah.
aspects where
That
your
are counterculture.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I could have prepared you for that
That's
question.
a big question. All the ones that are coming to mind. Well, okay, so I have always been a big fan of tension. It's
Right.
actually really interesting. I was literally talking with Brittany. I made a comment last night about something that she was doing wrong or different or
Yeah.
not quite, and I was like, I kind of pointed it out, and she was real quick to be like, all right, let's move on. Like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so today I brought it up again, and I was
Right.
like,
Yeah.
you know that I love you more than this, right? And do you want to grow? Like, do you want to progress in this life? And if the answer is yes, then, well, let's explore that tension. And so that's maybe a big thing in our house, that like I'm so comfortable with tension. Not that I seek it out or try to create it.
Yeah.
But when there is something that needs to be talked about,
Yeah.
differing opinions, right? The world today says if you disagree with my opinion,
Yes. Yeah. I cancel you.
you're dead. Yeah, I cancel you. You're
You are dead to me.
You're dead to
and
me.
in fact, you should be dead to everyone.
Right. There's no more discord. There's
Yeah.
no ability to have opposing opinions.
That's right.
Which is something that in our household,
Yeah.
it's not just that it's welcome, it's encouraged.
Yeah.
Like, I hope
love
that
that.
Ava challenges me. I hope that,
Yeah.
well, not that I hope, they do.
That's
They do
gonna
challenge.
happen. Yeah, that's right.
100%. Yeah.
I love that though. So you're saying you actually are comfortable inside of tension and you want to see dialogue, healthy dialogue around the hard stuff.
Yes.
And a lot of people struggle with that naturally.
Yeah.
But and I was actually just writing about this and the fact that culture, family culture, work culture, it's just constantly challenged, like every day. And the role of a dad is to walk in, realizing that the culture's probably been challenged a little bit. And so you come to an issue like you have with Brittany, and something's said, and something in you that goes, no, that's not the culture we're creating.
Yeah.
That's not. It
Yeah.
clashes with my vision of the future. And so it's hard to then circle back around in a way that's respectful to the relationship.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I recognize, being 4 years married, that there are some things that we do well.
Yeah.
And there are things, well, everything will continue to progress on and get
Yeah.
better at, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that's definitely one of them, right? I know that I don't do it.
Right.
Yeah, I can be honest. I know that I don't do it well.
Yeah.
And
she's listening to this going, oh, that did not go well.
he does not do it well. But man, do I try.
Yeah.
And what I've always said to Brittany, and I will continue to say, is there's nobody else in the world that I'd prefer to argue with.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is as committed to the best version of Steve as she is.
Yeah.
Not just for
for her own sake.
like,
but for
definitely selfishly,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
should be committed
Yeah,
to the best
totally.
version of me.
Yeah.
But also for our kids,
Yeah.
for me, for the youth that we lead,
Yeah.
for whatever the situation
Yeah, yeah.
is. So I tell her often, I'm like, man, if you see something in me, I don't want anyone else to call it out. I want you to call it out.
Yeah.
I want you to shine a light on it.
And does she, do you think?
We come from quite different backgrounds when it comes to tension and argument.
Yeah, yeah.
To the point where I don't know if afraid is the right word, but she doesn't like it. So she is slow to bring up something.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, it probably gets to the point more often where I realize it, and so I bring it up
Yeah.
on her behalf.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, hey, did this annoy you?
Yeah. You know how I was a dick today? We should talk about that.
Remember when I said that and you obviously hated it?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I think that knowing Brittany a little bit, I wonder whether that's a personality thing or the family heritage. I wonder, because I always remember her being quite quiet.
She is, yeah.
just
Yeah, she is.
a beautiful young lady and just very gentle.
Very gentle.
She's like the opposite of you.
Yes.
In that respect.
Yeah. That was a compliment to her.
And to you. No, it wasn't to you at all. So, okay. So this is obviously how an aspect of you, it's an aspect of Steve, it's an aspect of the way Steve leads, is some of this tension and wanting to discuss some of the tricky stuff. how do you do that well with her? How do you do it bad? Like, what do you think you need to? What could we do better? You know,
Yeah.
in these moments where there's difficult stuff to talk about.
Yeah, well, this kind of ties into the bigger conversation we're having about, I suppose, servitude, right, or going lower, right, preferring the other person.
Yeah,
I think that in my mind, doing it well is just bringing it up every time. Every time there is something to talk about, bring it up. I recognize that that's my opinion of doing it well. That might not be hers.
right.
And so, in serving her or trying to, right? I don't have any of this figured out. We're just talking.
Yeah.
Probably in more of like an idealistic
tone
than realistic. To some degree, I think I do this, but in preferring her and bringing up these conversations, something that I definitely need to recognize is that, like you said, we're antipodes. We're quite opposite from each other, and so where I am loud and comfortable being loud, and even louder in an argument, right? And not to cut her off or push her down, but when I get passionate, I get loud, and that's me expressing that I care about something.
Yeah.
Whereas her expression of caring about something is soft and gentle, and
let's not talk about it.
Oh man, and like far more considered than I am.
So when that goes wrong, and you need to circle back around, and not to get the point across. Those moments when you have those moments of wisdom where I need to make this right again. Like, what does that look like? How do you go about doing that?
I learned from my parents that they had a saying that they would say to each other in the middle of an argument. So my dad would be much more like Brittany.
Yeah.
And my mom would be much more like me.
Yeah.
My mom had an Irish grandma and an Irish mom and an English dad.
Okay.
And so battles in their house were loud and like door slammy and dish breaky and like loud. So that's how mom, love you, mom. That's how mom argued. Yeah. And dad was the opposite. He was slow and considered. He was the quiet one.
Yeah.
And they taught me very early on, actually, long before I met Brittany, that they would say to each other, I love you, you love me, we love God. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We can solve this tomorrow when we're calm. Or,
and
not that I say that phrase to Brittany, but definitely something to the effect of, something to the effect of, hey, no matter what, I'm not leaving. So so we can talk about this later, or you can take a walk, or you can take a drive, and you can calm down and you can think about it. Or you have time, you have space to do or be what you need to do or be, and then we can come back to it. We are competitive, so we do race to apologize. That's something that's cool. Not in a haughty way or like a arrogant way of like, hey, just remember, I apologize first.
That's right.
Not like that, but definitely in like, no matter what the conflict is, I have a part to play in it.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens, even if I can't think of a situation, but even if the situation from the outside is entirely Brittany's fault, I still have a part to play in it. So I'll apologize for whatever my part is. And sometimes that looks like, hey, I don't know where I went wrong or what I did wrong, but I am sorry that I had a part to play in this.
I think it's really wise. Someone once said to me that, you're probably 50% of the problem.
Yeah, at
Just
least.
based on this. This is that old saying, like in a relationship, in a marriage, one person is always right and the other person is always the husband.
Yeah, that's a pretty good saying.
I often talk about how we talk about closing the circle, and it's a parenting thing as when you going off at your kid because kids know how to wind you up.
Sure.
And we all want to be perfect, but when those moments when things aren't, how actually everything is made right when you circle back around.
That's right.
I'm sorry, I stuffed up.
That's right.
Let's talk about what went wrong. Let's talk about what you said that wound me up and why I responded badly, and
yeah, that's right.
All of that stuff. Yeah. I've had to learn to. Because nobody's listening when you're yelling and screaming.
That's right.
Hey,
That's
like
right.
when it's at that point, it's like, well,
That's right.
this ain't working.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's why you get to that point, right?
Yeah.
It's because
Yeah.
that happened just this morning. Ava was chewing on a power cord. Like she thought it was just in her mouth, and she was like, her teeth were on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, hey, we don't do that. And I explained it, and she ran off. And then she thought it was funny, so she came back in and did it like harder, more like aggressively staring me down, like, ha ha, I am doing it.
Yeah.
And my voice went
Yeah.
real high real quick to the point where there was the fear in her
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah.
And even in that moment, right, where I was,
Yeah.
in my opinion, completely right as a father to do that. But as soon as that moment had passed, I got down on her level
Yeah.
and I apologized for yelling.
Yeah.
And I said, you need to understand the severity of this. But
Yeah.
that, I think, is the closing the loop that you're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about, is
right,
making
yeah.
sure that
Yeah.
in a calm,
Yes.
on level
Yeah.
moment, there's
Yeah.
that.
That's right.
Yeah. I like that. I've not heard that way before, but I really like that. Close the loop.
Close the loop. Yeah. And it can be 5 minutes or it can be 5 hours.
Yeah.
Preferably not the next day, but yeah. And it's the clarity that comes from actually taking some time to calm down. Eh?
Yeah.
And so obviously you do that with Brittany at times. And so, okay, so that's interesting. So you and Brittany quite different. So we married people that are different to us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you're one of these personalities that likes to lean into the controversy, the tension.
Mm-hmm.
Are you have you done an Enneagram test?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what number are you?
Can you guess?
I was going to say a 4, but no, you're not.
Nah, I'm not a 4.
Okay, what are you?
7.
I don't know them quite well enough. I haven't got 7 memorized. So tell me about a 7.
7's probably the only one that I have memorized.
Okay.
It's
Because it's your one.
Yeah.
Who cares about the rest?
yeah, it's you're familiar with strengths.
I thought you said strengths. But strengths. Strengths. Yes.
Strengths.
Yeah. I am, yes, very much.
Strengths.
Yeah.
Of course you are. Activator.
Yes.
Woo.
Yeah.
Includer.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah.
Where's the party?
Yeah.
Where are the people?
Okay, yeah.
This has been real fun, but it's time for me to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, so the woo, yeah.
I'm excited about life.
Yeah.
There's not much that can bring me down, but when there is, it's pretty down, and it
Right.
will almost always be people related.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if my car gets smashed. I don't care if, I don't know, input problem here, unless there's a person involved. That's a 7. A 7 is very,
Right.
people are my thing.
Yeah.
I love being around them. I can't wait to get to the next thing.
Right.
So like if things aren't feeling great here, I'm like, all right, cool. I'll look for the next adventure. Where's the
Right.
next open door?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
See, that's a great. I mean, I can see that about you. You know,
Oh, yeah.
you're the culture maker. You know, sort of walk in and
Hey,
yeah, it's like Steve's here.
here I am.
Now we can have a party.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
So we talk about attention. What other ways is that misunderstood at work? We can go to talk about work as
Wow.
well, but and home. Like where does that not? Where do people misunderstand that or respond badly to it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I wasn't expecting that question. I just, for the record, I'm an Enneagram noob. Like, I know
Yeah.
very little, so
Right.
that's my interpretation
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
7.
Yeah.
Someone listening is
Yeah.
gonna be like, "Wow, he's
Yeah, the
way
Enneagram people are like, what the heck? You just
This guy
described
knows nothing.
something. There's not even a number, mate.
off. You just described 14." Yeah, so where that can be misconstrued or misinterpreted, man, you said at work, or I'll just being half American and half Kiwi.
Yeah.
Man, it can get real dicey trying to express who I am and it be well received.
As in, because to me, I would often be tempted to go, oh, it's American.
That's the
American part of it.
Yeah, that's right.
But you're going, no, that's not. That's just who I am.
That's just who I am.
Right.
Which for me,
you were always a dick.
yeah, it's just who I am.
Yeah.
Stop blaming America. That's me.
Aren't all Americans like you, man?
So
Sorry to all the Americans.
no, but I absolutely love it when I find like a very similar to me Kiwi that is
Yeah.
accepted and very Kiwi, and everyone's like, oh, you're that way because you're American. They're that way because that's who they are.
Right.
I love finding like I call them very like American Kiwis.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, that didn't answer your question. Your question was, how can that be misunderstood?
Yeah, where is it misunderstood? At work and at home, like.
Yeah, so at work it's very the first job that I had up in the Bay of Plenty, there was quite a few people that accused me of being like a ladder climber, or like a wheel greaser, or like somebody who just like didn't really care about the people around me, but was just chasing
the next thing
through like
the progression.
That's right, through being two-faced, like one thing here and one thing there, where I never understood that, because I was like, but I'm the same with you. Like, I'm excited to see you, and I speak to you the same way I speak to everyone else. And, so woo is probably a better way for me to describe that with the Enneagram. That's when that is over.
And so for those who haven't done strengths, so the woo one is people with woo, and your sister-in-law's a bit like that, Courtney. She's a woo, strong woo. I know some other strong woos where you walk into the room and next thing you're the best. You've never met them before, but you're their best friend.
Yeah, totally.
But then you move on.
Yeah,
and
that's
then you're best friends with everyone in the room.
That's right.
But you, the person has felt they've found their long lost friend.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any friends.
That's right.
And so they're like, hang on, you've never messaged me, or we don't talk.
You haven't called me back.
Yeah, but you're like, well, that's just me. I just walk into the room and I'm friends with everyone.
That was like a one-night deal that I was friends with you. That's right. And now I've moved on.
Yeah, and the activator is all about, the next thing and making stuff happen. And so I guess those two things can combine to mean that you are looking for action. That's the wrong.
I mean,
it could.
I suppose it depends on how you interpret that.
Let's get it on, baby.
Yeah, yeah, looking for action. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, am I reflecting a little bit of what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a huge way that it's misunderstood, woo especially, is often considered a very shallow strength.
Yes, right.
Networking and involving people to the point of them being a fit for the need, not necessarily a friendship for life. So it can be seen as very shallow, very impersonal, fake, like you said. Right? I thought we were best friends, and the person in my situation is like, I think you're awesome, but we can be best friends, but that doesn't mean to me what it means to you. Best friends to me means that, like, someday I'll call and ask if I can sleep on your couch, and the answer should be yes, because we're best friends. Whereas best friends to other people is like, you're going to call me every day, you're going to text me. So at work, there was a lot of misunderstanding of my personality, or my humor is a big one. I tend to try to be funny, not intentionally all the time, but when it's not understood, I get real shook. Or when I don't understand somebody else's humor. And then at home, where that can be very misunderstood, is like, like we talked about a little bit, I'm fine with tension, because in my perspective, I want Brittany to want the best out of me. And so I'll pursue that tension. I don't know if this is really answering the question, because I don't know if I'm misunderstood there. I'm trying to find it at home. Where am I misunderstood? How am I? You
might not be there. No, you're perfectly understood.
Well, she is perfect. So
exactly. But so that woo, how does that look at home? Do you ever sense that Brittany or the girls are feeling, where's Dad?
Yeah, actually, as you asked that question, it came straight to my mind. If we're at home alone, or better yet, if we're going out on a date night, I will almost always be like, hey, should we invite?
People.
And Brittany's like, no, this is our date night. Am I not enough? And I'm like, no, 100% you're enough. Yeah, we can go. Like, I have no problem with it being just the two of us. I was just asking if we should involve more people in date night. Right? Like, shouldn't we like invite like all of the Edwards to go to the movie? They might want to see it too.
So you're just always wanting to have people.
Totally. If there's a night at home where there's nothing going on, I'll be like, hey, should we invite someone over to play board games, or like,
So do you struggle to give? Does woo look like when you walk into the room at the end of the day that you are trying to win those relationships again every night?
Yeah. Wow. Yep. Definitely.
Yeah.
Ava's definitely at the age where she hears the key turn and she knows it's Dad, and so she comes running, which is man, it's got to be one of the greatest feelings in the world.
Yeah.
Your child running to you, Dad.
Yeah, man.
Charlotte can't quite say Dad. She just goes, ah. But they run up to me and immediately I'm like, what are you up to? What are you doing? Are we drawing? Are we horsey riding? Like, let me get my bag down, and then I'm trying to win the relationship back, exactly like you said.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And yeah, that's interesting. And I suppose with Brittany, winning that relationship back looks like, hey, I know you've been here all day with the kids. My turn, right? Like, do you need to go have a shower?
Yeah.
I was about to say cook dinner, but that's like just assigning.
Why are you out of the kitchen?
Yeah.
Like,
what are you doing here? Is dinner ready?
Yeah, that's right. Come on, woman. And you say woman.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does it look like? Are you finding you do that daily, trying to sort of win that to woo her? Is that something you do, or is that you're just like, that was once, we got the ring. So it's, the next thing,
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow, this is like a real.
No, these are deep questions.
These are deep
Sorry,
questions.
yeah.
No, it's okay. I think I'm mostly an open book.
Yeah.
I'd say I've been real tired and sick for a while. Like I've been, I don't know if overworked is the right line, right? I'm not pulling 80-hour weeks, but the job that I have, there's a lot of weight to it.
Yeah.
And so I've been real burdened is probably weary. I've been weary. So wooing her has looked like buying flowers as opposed to like back massages or cleaning the house or things that she would usually receive as expressions of love have been extra difficult for me to give in the last, I'd say 2 years. I've been real low on that romantic woo energy.
I think that's so good to talk about though, man, because I reckon the whole world feels like that.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Now with the whole COVID thing, I think I've talked previous podcast about people feeling angry and anxious and annoyed.
Yeah.
And there's just this weight.
Yeah.
And we have these, and it's the middle of winter, and we've had colds and flu.
Man, that flu is so yuck.
The flu, I don't know about COVID-19, but the flu of 22 was worse,
It was bad. Yeah, it was real bad.
So yeah, I think I completely relate to not feeling like I've got enough energy for what's going on at home when I get home, and I've had to make some times. I'm almost like, okay, I've got home. I'm going to give this till 7:30. I'm full energy until then, and then my brain's going to start shutting down, and it's time for me to start to
go to bed.
Or make some time for myself.
Oh
and go to bed.
Not go to bed. It's too early.
So you that's, I think, that's how it looks, eh?
Yeah. It's interesting. This is actually a great eye-opening conversation. Not saying that my situation is greater or worse than anybody else's, but it's interesting to think about the way this conversation has gone for myself, being a number 7 or a high-end woo. This pandemic era has meant that I haven't been able to go home and see my family, and I've been
in America.
That's right. Maybe a little bit extra trapped feeling, and maybe that's worn me down a little bit extra fast, and I haven't considered that actually. That the way that I'm wired has been not completely able to express itself. I
totally get that. Yeah. So the busyness, you're busy, big job, busy. I guess we can all say we're busy, and it feels like a badge, which is dumb.
It's so dumb.
Family, relationships, even though that you're a woo, I'm guessing you're still a man. Still relationships aren't like, most men struggle to communicate. Like I don't have words at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think. Do you mind if
no, you think.
Like as a man, we're so wired, and I don't know if this is a strength or an Enneagram thing. I think it's definitely a male thing. We're so wired to fix it. And to be an answer.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, man, how do you be an answer for something like this? How do how do you step in? So struggling with relationships where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, the world's on fire, and as a
Yeah.
man, you're like, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm at the end of my ability. Yeah.
Well, the thing that happens in our home, I'm an activator as well. I got no woo. I think woo would be right down the bottom of my list of strengths.
Yeah.
I'm like the opposite. I'm like, don't be in my life. What's the
Yeah, recluse.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, I could live in a cave by myself, and I'd be like, wow, this is awesome.
This is the best.
This is. Where was I going with that? But
Activator.
when my wife says, so my thing is get home, so talk to the kids, blah blah blah, and then we were taught, I talk a little bit about this, about making 5 or 10 minutes tops just to connect.
Sure.
Yeah. Let her know that she's first. So the idea is, kids, yeah, I'm here, but mum comes first. So
it's powerful.
Yeah. So we connect. It might be in the kitchen or whatever, and while she's cooking or while I'm cooking, doing stuff, and she'll say, "Oh, this happened," and I'm just like, "I've got to fix that."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Thanks for telling me, because I'm going to sort that child out right now, or fix that thing.
Yep.
And I've had to really teach myself to, because they actually know what, Julie knows what the fix is. She just wants to talk about it.
That's right.
And in talking about it, she's processing it, and she's got an adult to talk to. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Is it the same for Brittany?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, in most situations, Brittany's smarter than I am.
Right. Yeah.
And so when she says something, maybe not mechanically right, if she's like, "I've got a flat tire,"
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'll fix it right now."
Yeah.
Now is the time to fix it with activator.
Yeah.
I'm like, "You've told me this problem.
Yeah.
I'll go and fix it."
Yeah.
If it's hey, Ava was acting out today, or so and so said this, my mind is like, oh, I need to text them. I need to sort out Ava immediately.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to defer to Brittany, who is better at those things.
Yeah.
Her strengths are in the line of empathy and consistency and harmony, and so she's absolutely. I struggle with that.
Yeah. Julie's got wiser over the years, and she will say to me, don't do anything about this. You're not going to fix this. I'm just telling you this is what happened today.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm like, okay. And I'm like, but for a moment your world falls apart, because you hear what's happened and you're like, what the hell?
I don't know Julie as well as I'd like to. I know her decently well, but I do know that she's one of very few people that Brittany aspires to be like. So I see a lot of similarities. I'm sure Brittany's going to learn that lesson soon, right? She's very smart, so she'll learn soon to say, hey, don't do anything about this. Just listen.
Just listen, yeah.
She's smart.
I was thinking about that recently, how often, and we're like this, all humans are like it, was when we're saying stuff, we're actually processing it as we're allowed to, and sometimes it's coming out and we're just saying, we're telling ourselves, yeah, that's dumb. That's actually, now that I say it, that sounds, that's dumb. And our kids do this a lot as they get older. They're actually thinking in front of us, and they're processing stuff, and they're just saying stuff.
Yeah.
And as they get older, it's as they're sharing, as they're seeing what's going on in the world, and they're sharing their thoughts and their ideas, and it can be so freaky.
Yeah.
And just learn, that's a challenge as a dad when the kids get older, just to learn not to react too much to that.
That's good.
But to realise that they are just processing, and some of their ideas are dumb, and just being careful how you react.
Man, that's so good. Often I'll say to Brittany, I'll say, hey, I don't know if I believe what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
But this is a thought I have, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll just process it as it's coming out of my mouth. And sometimes I'll get done saying it, I'll be like, no, I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
That's really mature of you. I tend to not own that. No, I try to, but
oh man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun being married, but man, it's a lot of work is such a negative word for some reason.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
You got to work at it, you know?
Oh yeah.
I was talking to someone recently about soulmates. And I'm a marriage celibate, right? On the side. And I reckon I've married plenty of soulmates that are no longer married.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like plenty of soulmates are divorced or separated.
Yeah.
And it is a choice,
Yeah.
and some days it's a choice you have to make every day. That sounds hard. Well, with someone like Brittany, it can't be that hard. But what I'm saying is that it's, you have to choose to turn up, and you have to choose to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't easy, especially when
Oh.
you got young kids. You got all the tension she's feeling, and she's probably feeling the same sort of way. Life's hard at the moment,
Totally.
and you guys got some change coming up, and it's all, and if you've had a bad day at work, she'll be feeling that.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 100% true.
Yeah. And financial stress, man, that just adds. So you have a good marriage on a good day, can be great, and then you add the financial pressure, fuel costs, trying to pay for food, wanting to buy a house, and you're trying to, like, how do we make that happen?
Man, yeah, we met with a mortgage broker not too long ago, but we
Right.
gave him all our financials, and he was just like, "Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Right.
You're not going to find
Yeah.
a bank to lend to you."
Wow.
So
Yeah, and then so does that affect the relationship? You think?
it adds stress, but
Yeah.
I think it probably adds more stress to me than it does to Brittany because I'm still. I don't know if this is a thing that every guy deals with, but I'm still trying to prove myself.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm still
man.
trying to make sure that Brittany's dad believes that I'm worthy of
Yeah.
marrying
Yeah.
his daughter.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to
Yeah.
hey, look, I can provide.
That's right.
I've got a plan.
Yeah.
I can get a house if I want to get a house.
Yeah,
It's not true, but
That's
I
right.
want him to think it is. To some
so-
extent.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that
Yeah.
that's not how he feels about me.
Yeah.
I definitely hope that's not how he
Yeah.
feels about me.
Oh, he
but,
hasn't said anything to me lately.
That's
not
good.
last week, but
I mean, he talks on the phone with Britt all the time. What are they talking about?
he's like, how's that loser doing?
Has he got your house yet? That's good.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think we all need to give ourselves the grace just to be feeling really challenged with life,
Yeah.
and that anxiety is going to flow over into our relationships. Going to give ourselves a little bit of grace, give each other grace in that, and it's just hard. It's harder work to make it happen.
It is harder work, and exactly like you just said, this is the way that we approach life all the time. And Brittany and I talk about this all the time. Absolutely everything you do is a choice, and to stay married is a choice, and that's one that we might go a couple weeks or a month without actively making or like saying towards each other. It's a choice that we've made and we're living it out.
Yeah.
But there are times for sure when I'm like, hey, like I chose you. I stood at that altar and I said out loud, I choose you from this day and every day coming as long as I can breathe.
Yeah.
And so exactly like you said, it's a choice, and the climate hasn't necessarily helped that choice. It's made it harder in some respects, but yeah, man, choosing grace is a really good idea. Grace, and like you said, letting yourself off the hook a little bit, not in like a
not a lazy way,
not in a lazy or like a snowflakey way, like everyone gets a participation award, which I struggle with. Not in that way.
Yeah, no.
But in like
you turned up.
Yeah. You turned up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. So what do you think? What would be a tip if you could give young dads, because most of my small following at the moment is younger men, young dads, like you, 1 or 2 kids, maybe crazy like you, kid number 3 coming.
Crazy.
What advice around putting her first, around putting the relationship first? You got anything?
Yeah, for myself, it's difficult. It really is a challenge. Like there are days where I feel so justified in going to work and doing all this, and I get home and there's an argument or a disagreement, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, you didn't even, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been and putting myself in this position of like greater or
right,
or better
Because all she's done is keep the family alive. Right?
Man, all she's done is hung out with like the two people that we love the most in this world. All
Yeah,
day,
that's right.
right? Like
Yeah.
there's like Instagram stories of our kids being super cute, and I'm like, you've got the dream job.
Yeah.
No, that's not entirely fair, right? It's a ton of work.
I know that's not what you're saying.
Yeah. So I would say probably the main thing that I've found most helpful is to probably, in a healthy way, dialogue what's going on in my brain. Not in a way of getting home and being like, hey, this is how I feel, blah, 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 blah. But maybe getting home and doing my part, but making sure that I'm discussing how I feel or how my day was or what I'm going through or how I'm approaching a situation. I think that one of the like hot topic like questions that's a surefire way of getting into an argument is, well, what have you done all day? Right?
That's a good question to not ask.
It's a good question to avoid, but I think the premise of that question is a great conversation. If you can find a way to discuss it, not in a comparative way of like, well, how many nappies have you changed? Well, how many, not in that way, but in like hey, I'm really struggling with this, or my day at work was really hard. I would have loved to have come home for lunch with you and the kids. Or do you get what I'm saying? Like finding a way to dialogue the inner conversation out loud with your spouse or your partner in a way that
of how you
is healthy.
What I think I'm hearing you saying is we can not talk about this stuff.
Sure.
Or we can say, I feel like for me at this point, it needs to be this part of a thing, our relationship or a thing that we're doing needs to be a bit better. I need you in this space.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Because like actually probably how you started that, we could not talk about this and it will naturally progress towards worse, right? Things will naturally descend into chaos. Things will naturally drift apart or, you know, we could use the word, which I don't necessarily agree with, fall out of love. Like things can get to the point where it's so hard, it's easier to quit.
Yeah.
Or you could find a healthy way of having those conversations of, you know, I need this, or I'm not seeing this, or I'm not getting that, or this is my perception. That's a great way of saying it.
Yeah.
Hey, from my perspective, it looks like you've done this all day. And if the response is an argument, well then, you know, you can have that argument and try to work your way through it. But if it's, hey, I'm not saying that this is what you've been doing, but my perspective looks like this. Can you show me I'm wrong, or can you help me understand what you see? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think this is really difficult because I've had to, the way I do this is if I find there's something I need to talk about, it's a date night. For me, it's date night. It's not when I'm feeling it.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. You can't walk in the door and say, hey, my perspective is
exactly
the house is a mess. What have you done? No way. I think actually that's a great preface, Mike, and that would be why you have more wisdom than I do. You've probably had a couple more of those conversations.
Well, it's super easier when I've got older kids too, you know, and I've been through it all, but I don't have that same mess that's been created at home.
Sure.
Not fully true, but, you know, they're home. When I come home, there can be 12 extra people in the house, you know. It's just, Julie's a bit like you. She's like, come on in. Come on.
Everyone can come. Yeah.
You bring my family? What about my family's friends? And so everyone, next thing you know, there's, 16 cars in the driveway when I get home. But, yeah, that stuff's tricky when there's things that need to improve, or at least you perceive they need to for some reason.
Yeah,
you've just had a shit day and you've perceived a thing a certain way, and so that's a challenge.
It is a challenge actually, and I recognize the longer we talk about this bit of advice that I tried to give, the harder it is to frame it in a way that will be helpful, because exactly like you said, if the conversation is the right conversation at the wrong time, it's the wrong conversation.
So finding the right time.
Yeah.
And
the time and the perspective, and you can go back to those elementary conversations of this is the way I feel, not you make me feel. Or
so my best advice on that would be to to connect when you get home and talk. How's your day been? Talk about the day.
Totally.
But then I said this to one of my boys. It's about structuring some time later where there's coffee and flowers and a nice dinner. But let's talk about what's going on. How can we do things better?
That's right.
This is how I feel about this, and the heat's out of it, and maybe there's a bit of anticipation for the evening finishing well. That's what So,
yeah.
But I wonder how many men just leave it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, man, I feel like we could talk about this for another couple hours, but at the heart of it, I guess what I would try to say is find a way to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Find a way to not let your inner dialogue stay in your brain.
Yeah.
Because the longer it stays up there, day after day, week after week, month after month, coming home and asking yourself in your own head the same question, what do you do all day? It'll eventually come out the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it'll eventually become an ugly conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And so Brittany shows some real wisdom when she handles that, but it's you working out how to interact with your unique relationship in a way that's healthy, and men,
Totally.
Men need to. Your advice is, because you're looking for better, is you would rather step into the tension and have this part of the relationship better.
Totally.
So that tomorrow is a better day.
Totally.
Rather than it's just getting worse and we're heading in the wrong direction. Yeah.
Totally. I don't want to be here next year.
Yeah.
So who's the person who's going to help me the most?
Yeah.
I truly believe it's Brittany. It's my wife.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lean into that tension and I'm going to have those hard conversations and I'm going to get it wrong probably more times than I get it right. But that's where, like you were saying, this grace comes in and affording each other the grace and the ability to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Brittany is subtle and quiet and lovely. She can be real sassy. When I get it wrong, there's a look or there's a snap back and I'm like, oh my gosh, hey, whoa, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I messed up.
Yeah. Good on you. Yeah. That seems to be my default.
It's not a bad place to be.
No.
Humility is so underrated.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so easy just to become, we think we're right. We all look at the world as if we're right.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've been with myself for 30 years. Yeah. I know exactly the way
that you've
I
been
think.
Right. All
100%.
30 years.
That's right. Everything I see is filtered through my lens. So absolutely. Although, right, like that was facetious. I don't actually think that it's easy to slip into that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
no,
good.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think everyone got that.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, I've seen of you someone who, you lead well at work. You are determining to lead in your community, and you recognise that you lead at home. And home there's two leaders at home. And you're both leading in different ways. So, it has its challenges, but yeah, man. That was all kind of in my mind. All I really felt like we needed to chat about. Is there anything more you wanted to comment on while we're here? No.
No, I feel like we talked. That was a great conversation.
Yeah,
I really appreciated it. I feel like any one of those points we probably could have dove into for longer or more. You know what I mean? It's just I love that you've called this leading where it matters, and all that entails, and how far you can go into each conversation. Because leadership is exactly what it is. It's two leaders learning to co-lead, learning to hold the part that's their responsibility, and it's great. It's great.
Awesome,
Everything's
man.
good.
I appreciate it hanging out. I really value you. I know you're heading. Is that public?
Yeah, it's public enough.
You're heading off.
Going home.
I've ruined it for him. By the way, family, Steve's out of here.
Yeah. It's public enough.
Yeah,
we can talk about our move to Hawaii.
Yeah.
What's coming up.
I won't probably publish this for a few weeks at least anyway. So,
sure.
So yeah, going to miss having you guys around.
Yeah.
Wish you all the best.
Thanks.
And let's keep in touch.
Sounds good. Just remember I have Woo, so if I don't text back.
You're pretty much going to forget me. Eh?
Probably.
All right, mate.
Great.
We'll catch you next time.
Cheers, bro.
See ya.